Now, if some backward people called black leftists understood this, they would realize that if they help the white left into power, the white left is going to do them in. Now, I'm not less of a socialist because I'm saying this, but I'm more of an African nationalist and a Pan-Africanist because I'm saying this. Because I take my socialism from African social living and not from Karl Marx. I take mine straight from the originators of it, who originated it before the first European wore a shoe or lived in a house that had a window. So I know there's nothing new about it. The Africans had it all along. So I go to the original instead of the carbon copies created in Europe. Now, there are a whole lot of Africans today who don't understand that. Now, my point is that once the Romans became Christians, they accepted as a political apparatus, but the spirituality of it eluded them completely. Where are they now in history? The conference at Nicaea has already occurred, several conferences. That's behind a few hundred years now or more. The Romans, out of their weakness, you must separate the political Roman Empire from the Holy Roman Empire. The political Roman Empire is dead. When the political Roman Empire started to weaken, they began to have African emperors, the most colorful being Septimius Severus, and one of the last being Clarke. And Septimius Severus is noted for being, he was also the governor of England, in addition to being, after being governor, emperor of Rome. All right, he was from the political Holy Roman Empire. Political Roman Empire. Now, the Holy Roman Empire has had, at this point, 3 African popes. Tertullian being a noted one. There were 3. And Tertullian wouldn't be popular today because he's really one of the first to say, vanity, vanity, thy name is woman. So the holy sinner, the greatest writer the church has had is behind us now. I mean, St. Augustine. St. Augustine, really, who gave the church its literature, also African, gave it its being, has lived and practically died by now. Bishop of Hippo. He has written far more than the world knows. People know about this City of God and his confessions. But there was so much of his writing that has not come down to us that is available in texts and in, documents. But he has lived and practically died by this point, at this point. My main point is that the African contribution to the church has been made. And Augustine looks back at what these Europeans have done to Christianity. He said it makes him laugh, especially the conference at Nicaea. These people don't understand Christianity. Now, the fight between Byzantium and Rome over the dominance of the church has literally wrecked the church. And this mismanagement and disenchantment now would cause a camel boy. Now, because you can't read, that doesn't mean you have no wisdom. Most of the people of that period couldn't read. But that don't mean they're stupid. To begin to talk to other camel boys. And finally, he began to rise up in his profession, and his uncle began to give him a little leadway. He was working for his uncle, in the trades, the caravan trades between the masters, and and finally he marries a rich widow. This rich widow secures for him 2 Ethiopian tutors that the Encyclopedia Islam mistakenly called slaves. They're not slaves. And Zayd bin Harith and Bilal. Bilal is the prophet's first convert. And Zayd bin Harith is listed as the third. I'm at a loss to find out who was the second of the African converts. All right. Oh, now, this is the condition. The corruption of Christianity has reached a point for failing to find reform, to get reform. He began to send letters to the different heads of state asking them to accept the new faith. And some of them laugh at it. Some of them tear up the letter. The Emperor of China takes it seriously. He didn't say, oh, so what's the big deal? he erects a mosque. It's all right. One more religion don't mean nothing to him. He erects a beautiful new mosque in China. It's all right. I mean, it didn't seem to bother him. He'll accept it. He'll give it a chance. Anybody want to join it? Here's a mosque. Yeah. You make no fuss about it. A few accepted, a few didn't. And then he tell me either go to accept the faith or go to pick up your sword because I'm going to fight you, Now, Bilal accompanies the prophet on his various missions. And he is looking for someone to call the faithful to prayer. Bilal becomes the first of the Muslim to call the faithful to prayer. And he has looked, and he didn't, among the people of Arabia, he don't want to use bells or, Then he comes home one evening. Bilal is his steward and his mace carrier and general all-around man. And he tells Bilal his problems. Then he asks Bilal to see if he can say the call to prayer. And he said, why have I been looking all over Arabia when you have the sweetest voice in all the land? Now Bilal becomes the one to call the faithful to prayer. And he makes out of it a great art form. And even today, if you go to Senegal and listen when the faithful are being called to prayer, the Africans do it, and it is a concert. It is a concert piece. Then go to an Arab country and listen, almost like a bad bird singing off tone. They can't bring it off to this day. They can't bring off that song. The beauty of that song. There's no God but Allah. Allah is, it's repetitious. But it's the African who can take that repetition and infuse a spiritual beauty into it that you will not find in any other country, any other place in the world. Of course, in Libya, they just record an African voice and play it on record from the they get it that way. But Libya seemed to have been the only predominantly Arab country where the 5 prayers are called on time and where you do see a degree of people moving toward the mosque to say the 5 prayers. In most Arab countries, the